Hey, Shrewdness fans. Welcome to our latest show. We're down a member tonight. Unfortunately, this is Prue. Dex is with me, but Chisholm is traveling and he's halfway around the world. And it's like 4 a.m. where he is or something. So couldn't join us this week. But Dex and I will hold down the fort and bring you our latest Shrewdness news from week 13 and looking ahead into week 14 of the NFL season. There was a lot of good games, including on Thanksgiving. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're done with the
Yep.
bidding process in your fantasy leagues, in your Geo leagues, but we'll talk about kind of the lead up to the final few weeks here and some of the end gamers that you need to try to shoot for as you round out your teams. And hopefully you have five of these guys, maybe six. It'd be sweet if you had eight, but that's pretty hard to ask. We'll get into
It
more of
is.
that. This is our last week of doing Shrewdness
Yep.
Spuds.
All the island game parlays, our single game our bets.
Get into our betting and started out pretty well. Didn't end so hot this last couple of games, but we were on fire Thursday on Thanksgiving Day. So anyway, we will
Yeah, it
recap all of
was.
that and off we go. Dex, give us a quick recap of week 13.
Sounds good. So hopefully you guys got to partake in some of these power parlays we did. We had so many island games. So they're on our socials out there. So be sure to check that out on YouTube, X, TikTok, kind of wherever you're checking your stuff out. We're on all of them. And our new website, so the shrewdness.beam.ly. Make sure you check that out. And then if you need some Christmas ideas, we got some merch on the website. So go there, check it out, pick out some colors. It's fun. I'm getting too many colors, I think. So they're actually all in the laundry right now. I wore them all weekend. It's good stuff. But let's get into it. I love Thanksgiving. I mean, if you're a football fan, especially an NFL fan, 3 games now. I mean, it's like, what? This is just
It's an all-day
Christmas
affair.
early. It's an all-day affair. And then they've added Black Friday. And then you got your Sunday night, Monday night games. There's so many island games. You actually got to watch whole teams play instead of just twice. I got to see quite a few. But it started off Green Bay, Detroit. Heck of a game. That was a lot of fun to watch. Green Bay came out victorious 31-24 behind Jordan Love. 4 touchdowns. He looked amazing in this particular game. And for our fantasy owners out there, right off the bat, and you know who I'm going to go to, Amon-Ra St. Brown with a donut. Just a
Yep.
pure killer right off the bat. And a lot of teams overcame it, but we'll get to the most chopped players. Hint, hint, foreshadowing. He's on the list. So he was a killer. But talking about that game, who stepped up, though, on the flip side? So Amon-Ra went down, and the one guy we've kind of ragged on a little bit for not being consistent, Jameson Williams, he stepped up
Yep.
and had himself a game. Like, he filled that role. It was actually really fun to watch. And he did have one big drop, but he came back and made enough big plays. So what were your takeaways from this first game we saw on Thursday, Prue?
A lot of offense for sure.
Yeah, it
Despite
was.
St. Brown going out, Jameson Williams stepped up big.
Yeah, he was 7 for 144 with a touchdown for Jameson. And really, it was kind of a bunch of nobodies. I mean, Gibbs was pedestrian, 20 for 68 on the rushing. And then he wasn't really getting
Only
involved. And we know this because we missed the prop by 1 catch for Gibbs. We needed one more
yes,
catch. He had 3 for 18. We had 3.5 as our prop. So we knew that one. I knew that didn't hit. But they just didn't have enough. And Montgomery, he got in the end zone. So for fantasy guys, I had to start him. 8 for 32. He's still just, it is not what it was last year. If you keep thinking it's last year's Detroit Lions backfield where Gibbs and Montgomery are evenly splitting drives, no. 20 carries for Gibbs, 8 for Montgomery. And yeah, he got one of the goal line ones, but last year he got all the goal line ones. This has turned into Jahmyr Gibbs' offense, I think. That is safe to say. But
yep,
yeah, kind of
totally.
a smorgasbord. Without Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was Jameson Williams, and then it looks like a cast of extras in a rom-com, man. Just like whoever.
Honestly, this late in the season, it was kind of I don't I don't want to say non-factor, but you probably weren't starting Montgomery anymore. You probably weren't starting JMO. You
Yeah,
probably weren't starting Jared Goff even, and he had a nice game. But
true.
um, yeah, all the normal contributors, Gibbs and St. Brown, like we talked about, St. Brown was non-existent, and Gibbs pretty underwhelming. Yeah, a lot of offense, but not
It
much
was.
offense for your fantasy team.
And the good news is for Josh Jacobs owners, he did show up. He didn't have a huge game because he didn't get in the end zone, but 17 for 83, so he's carrying it about 5 yards a click. And then his problem is he didn't get involved in the passing game at all. He only had the one catch for 8 yards. But the guy who showed up, and again, we've talked about this for Green Bay. Their wide receiving core is a bunch of twos and threes. They don't really have that one. We keep thinking it's going to be Christian Watson, and I guess he'd be as close as you get. So he is 4 for 80 with a touchdown. But this particular week, it was Dontavian Wicks with 2 touchdowns. So 6 for 94,
Right.
2 touchdowns. I'm never starting that guy. I mean, you've got to have a ton of injuries and just, I don't know, you have the Back to the Future book, and you know what's going to happen if you're starting Dontavian Wicks in your lineups at this time of the year. He's not a household name. He's probably not even rostered.
Right. And that's about as good as you're ever going to get from any of the Green Bay wide receivers. Right. 6
Yeah.
catches, 94 yards. That's a decent game. 2 touchdowns is pretty rare. So that helps a lot, but you're not going to get the Amon Ra or the Jamar Chase, 15 catch game ever. It's just not going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. So you'll be lucky to
That's
get
right.
4 to 6 catches out of any of those guys on any given week.
Absolutely. And I think the other takeaway from this game, it was just for playoff positioning. So Green Bay now has that tiebreaker over them for right now. And they're a game ahead. Well, they're because Green Bay had that tie in Dallas.
They
So
had the tie.
8-3-1, Detroit 7-5, and Chicago of all teams is on top of that NFC North still. And no one had that. I don't care who you are. Even if you're from Chicago, you're like, I hope we make the playoffs, and I hope we can be maybe second in the division. If you really thought you're going to win, all right. I get some hometown belief, but they're having a heck of a season. We'll get to that game here in a sec. Let's go to the one that sucks to talk about. Again, this has been our kind of season. If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan like we are, we're
Totally.
homers. Grew up in Missouri, man. Just got to deal with it. We're going to go just a little bit through this. We knew it was going to be a tough game, all right? So Kansas City at Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, 31-28. And here's the theme again. Dallas closed it out and did not put the ball in Mahomes' hands. So as with many of the Chiefs' losses this year, I think 5 of their 6 losses, Mahomes didn't get the ball back in the last 3 minutes. He just didn't get that shot. The other team went for it on 4th down. They're getting it. The Chiefs defense just didn't make that stop they needed. And this one, again, they made the stop on 3rd down. I was like, sweet. I think it's 4th and 4. And Schottenheimer, man, way to go, Brian Schottenheimer. It's what I would have done too, because that's how you beat the Chiefs. You don't let Mahomes back on the field if you can.
That's right.
You give your team the shot to win it. And they did. So kudos for them to doing it.
More and more teams are doing that. The metrics are saying that it's worth the chance to try to close it out. And we're seeing it happen over and over against the Chiefs, but other teams too.
Yep. And the whole thing is you go for it. You might also get that pass interference penalty. You might get the holding. There's all sorts of ways to pick up those 5 yards in these situations. And we're just seeing it happen over and over. But for the Chiefs, they played well enough to win. They just didn't make those key stops down the stretch again, and it cost them again. I mean, they had the early lead, up 14-7 going the second quarter, and then it was just all Dallas. So field goal, touchdown, field goal. And then it came back. So Chiefs started coming back. Rashee Rice got in for us. And again, with that touchdown with the last 3 minutes, we needed the stop. God, it was good for Dallas, man. Like we talked about last week, the Dallas defense has been playing better, and they just keep showing that having this changeover again with people coming back from injury, the 2 trade pieces they got, they're actually a legitimate defense right now because the Chiefs' offense is no joke. Patrick Mahomes is no joke. And the running game is actually doing pretty well, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, they had multiple people with Kareem Hunt, 58 yards. Patrick Mahomes scrambled for 30. Pacheco is back, and I thought he'd be more involved. And for fantasy owners out there, I hope he didn't start him, but he only had 3 carries, which I was surprised by that. I thought they were going to, especially after Kareem Hunt carried 30 times on Sunday in a short
Yeah.
week. I just figured they'd be spreading the load a little bit more, but it
I thought
still
so
went
too.
90% to Kareem Hunt on that. Were you surprised by that, Prue? Because I was.
Yeah. Very, very surprised. We talked last week about how we thought that they overloaded Kareem a little bit last game, knowing that they had Pacheco coming back. Kareem, he's definitely
Yeah.
been a workhorse the last couple games. So hopefully Pacheco will keep bouncing back and contribute.
Yeah. And it may have just kind of bringing it back slow. I mean, he was hurt. He's legit hurt again. But on the receiving
Yep.
side, I think Rashee Rice has solidified himself, and you should have absolute utmost confidence starting Rashee Rice each and every week. He had another huge game, 8 for
Yep.
92 with 2 touchdowns.
Totally.
Xavier Worthy, made his impact, 4 for 61, and he had the long of 42, so that was the big game play. Travis Kelce, very consistent again. He's been consistent all year despite his age and looking like he's lost a step. He's still up in the top 5 tight ends in the league. And another week, 5 for 45 with a touchdown. So you should feel confident Travis Kelce. He's been consistent. When you get past that, though, and then you're kind of throwing darts. So you don't want to count on Hollywood. And Juju Smith-Schuster didn't even get a catch. But on the flip side, let's talk about Dallas. So they earned this win. They went out and won. Dak Prescott, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns against a good Chiefs defense with a good secondary and a good pass rush with Chris Jones et al. And, God, you got to give credit where it's due. And Dallas played really well, had a good game plan, and another huge game from their big 2. So CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So CeeDee Lamb was 7 for 112 with a touchdown, just a stud. And George Pickens, 6 for 88, just big plays, big first downs. He's just really hard to cover. And all I know is that George Pickens is going to make a team very happy this offseason, and he's going to be worth every penny. He's going to get probably, 25, 30 million a season. And, man, you can start imagining if you're a team that needs a wideout, that maybe your team will get him. And
how would he plug
you're
into
Buffalo,
your team?
You're like, God, yeah. If he went to Josh Allen in Buffalo, if you went from Khalil Shakir to George Pickens, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just saying that is a great spot, a great landing spot. But regardless, let's get back to the game. George Pickens has earned himself a paycheck for this offseason. Turd Ferguson, 5 for 36. He was still just fine. And then for the running game, Javonte Williams didn't have a great week for you. But for your fantasy purposes, he still had the 59 yards on the ground. Nothing wrong with that. And then he had 3 catches, and he got in the end zone for you on a receiving touchdown. So 3 for 21 with a catch in the end zone. And that salvaged his day to help get you past the line. So watching this game, Prue, what are your takes for either the Chiefs or Cowboys moving forward? What did you learn from this game?
Well, CeeDee Lamb and Pickens are uncoverable, right? We've got 2 of the better corners in the league. And if you give Dak Prescott more than about 3 seconds, he's going to complete to one of those 2 guys.
Yep.
Just the way it is. So
that's right.
They look really high powered on offense. Javonte Williams has looked like a good fit for their offense. So, I mean, they're going to score points against whoever. And like you said, with their recent changes on the defensive side, they've kind of shored up their gaping holes that they had earlier in the season. So they're a tough out now. They're a tough team.
I think so too. And I want to go over this with you. I think Dallas has a path to the playoffs. I really do. Because their biggest matchup, the only tough game left, really, and I know anyone can win any given day. That's not what I'm saying. But the one on paper that looks really hard is at Detroit this week. But past that, and that'll be a tough game. I think that's going to be a shootout. That's going to be a high-scoring affair there. But then they go home against the Vikings, they just haven't shown enough. They can't score enough. They won't be able to keep up with Dallas. And then
Yeah,
home against
exactly.
the Chargers, we've seen the Chargers kind of fall off the map, and I think a lot of it's just losing their entire offensive line. I know Herbert was knocked out, so depending on where he's at, that's a very winnable game. And then you go to the Commanders, who are not the same team, and they had a great effort on Sunday night against Denver. We'll talk about that one here in a minute, but still very beatable for Dallas. And then at the Giants, again, that's a 2-3 win team, and maybe they'll be at 3 or 4 by that time. That is a 4-1 if you just give them a loss at Detroit. And so you get 4 more wins, and now you are a 10, potentially 11 win team if you run the table. They might catch Philly, and they could take the division still, which a few weeks ago, not even a dream. You wouldn't even be able to get odds on that. Like, nah, I don't think so. But they are playing very, very well. 3 in a row. And again, beating the Eagles and the Chiefs, those are 2 legit wins. The Raiders, we kind of talked about that one. That's just a mirage in the desert. Let's see them play a real team. Then they've just gotten 2 real teams, and they've won them both by a field goal, but they won them both. So what do you think the chances are Dallas winning this division, or at least just making the playoffs?
It's an uphill climb for sure. I'm looking at the other NFC teams, right? The Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers already have 9 wins. So probably all 3 of them will get to at least 10.
Yeah.
Bucks or Panthers are going to win, get in by default. They'll win the South. The North, the Bears and Packers are already at 9 and 8 wins. And then the Eagles already have 8. So there's
they're going to probably
maybe
have to
room
get
for
that.
them to
I don't know if
squeak
10
in,
wins
but
is going to be enough.
yeah, I think they're going to have some luck to get in with 10 wins. They probably have to run the table. But like you said, it's not beyond the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, I think they're going to be favored in 4 of those 5 games. So every game's going to matter for Dallas. All right, so it'll be fun to see what happens with that one.
I bet you could get some good odds right now in Vegas on that. Cowboys making the playoffs might be a worthwhile. Yeah, that might be a worthwhile bet.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. I mean, I don't really want to root for Dallas that many weeks in a row, but if you are a Dallas fan, it could be kind of fun. Or if you're just a very objective gambler and you don't care about the Cowboys one way or the other. All right, let's talk about the last game on Thanksgiving, and then we'll kind of go through a little quicker on the other ones. But Cincinnati-Baltimore, this is a game that in week 1 of this season, you're like, oh, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be for the division right there. And, man, both these teams,
not so much.
4-8 and 6-6 at the end of this thing. So Cincinnati with Joe Burrow coming back. Welcome back, Joe. It's good to see you out there. 32-14. They beat the crap out of Baltimore. Baltimore just doesn't look good at all. Lamar Jackson looks terrible. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 weeks. 3 weeks for a guy who should have won the MVP last year, but they gave it to Josh Allen. But he was actually better than Josh Allen last year. And he must be hurt. He must be playing through stuff. He keeps missing practices on Monday and Tuesday and doing a limited walkthrough. There's been 3 different things listed these last couple weeks. It's been foot, shoulder, knee, ankle. He must be messed up, Pruitt. From one of our fantasy stalwart and especially guillotine perennial top 3 quarterbacks, I don't know if I feel comfortable with Lamar Jackson right now. Where are you at with Lamar?
I kept listing quarterbacks I would rank ahead of him, and I just kept listing, and he's like
Same.
9th or 10th on my list now, which is unbelievable. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. There's got to be something going on. I was looking at him earlier, and I think he only has 1 rushing touchdown all year, if I'm not mistaken. And that was in the very first game.
Yeah, it is.
1 rushing touchdown.
Not much.
He's only eclipsed 35 yards 3 times, 4 times all year.
For a quarterback that runs, I mean, last week was 27 yards, and that's kind of par for the course. He's just not running much, and he's not getting these big runs. He used to scramble and get like a 30-yard gainer every single week.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I would be very nervous if you're a Lamar Jackson owner and you haven't been chopped already in guillotine. Now, that being said, I do like the matchup next week, Pittsburgh, and the following week, Cincinnati. Those are two defenses that just haven't clicked all season, and they're not going to start in week 14. It's just not happening. You don't fix your defense in the last 4 weeks unless you're Dallas and you get a whole new crop of people coming back and make 2 trades.
Revamp, yeah.
Yeah, unless you revamp, which is what they did. But as far as these defenses, no one's coming. There's no trades coming. There's no one coming off the waiver pile. The boneyard isn't going to help him. So I think he's got 2 tasty matchups coming up. But then New England and Green Bay to finish off if you can get there. And again, week 17 is going to be your last one anyway, so New England will be the last game. But Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England for your Final Four guillotine stretch. It's not the worst, but man, he just hasn't been looking real good. He's been single digits for you guys out there. And me too in one of my standard fantasy leagues. It's been killing me. So on the flip side, let's talk about Joe Burrow. He's back. And 260 and 2 touchdowns first game back. He didn't miss a beat with Jamar Chase, 7 for 110. And T. Higgins was out, so he didn't even have his other partner in crime. And he still hung 260. I feel pretty good about Joe Burrow. How about you? For fantasy heading down the stretch, do you feel confident with Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I was I know one of our prop bets that hit was Joe passing for more than 1.5 touchdowns, which he got. I expect him to continue to throw touchdown passes, which is super helpful. He never has been a guy that's run a lot, so you have to rely on yardage, his passing yardage to get you your points every week. But he's been really consistent. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to get, a couple touchdowns and 200 for sure, and more like 250, 260.
Yeah.
So he's good for 16 to 20 points every week.
And here's another guy I want to talk about. So from Cincinnati, Chase Brown, who at the beginning of this year was getting people chopped left and right. He was a first round, second round pick in all guillotine leagues and a lot of standard fantasy. And he's going for high bucks in auctions because of all his catches last year. He didn't do anything for the first 7 weeks, a whole bunch of pedestrian nothing. But since then, so week 8, he had 25 points, week 9, 19. Then he had the bye week, and then 18, 15, 18. And he's been getting tons of yardage, and catches are back. So 8 receptions, 6, 7. And he's eclipsed 100 yards twice. And he had 99 another game. Chase Brown, I think he's back to being relevant. His only bugaboo for me is the touchdowns. He's just not getting them. And when they get to the 2-yard line, they pass. Like, even Joe Flacco is passing. They either can't run it in, and they give him one shot, and he doesn't do it. You just throw to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, fill in the blank anybody else. But he only has 3 total touchdowns on the season. And that's, if you're looking at a whole, that'd be it. But without touchdowns. So all these last 3 games, 18, 15, 18, 19, 14, and 25, that was the one he had 2 touchdowns. But he's getting those targets, and he's getting those carries, and he's getting the yards. He's getting the floor high. Again, we like the high floor because then when he gets those touchdowns, he clicks. Do you feel Chase Brown is someone fantasy owners and guillotine specifically can count on? Probably in that flex spot. But do you think he's someone they can count on going down the stretch? Because they'll get Buffalo, Baltimore, and Miami these next 3 weeks. And those are all very pedestrian defenses. So where are you at on Chase Brown?
I'm 100% on board. This is what I thought he would do all year, right? And I think what most fantasy owners thought he would do all year. So he's finally showing up, and I think more is to be expected. Like you said, the super high floor, which is very comforting. And then now we're into the point where you got to have a guy that maybe can score you some touchdowns and get you some bonus points. The guys honestly, if I had, I don't know, this is probably a stretch. So I'm interested in your thoughts, Dex. But if I had a choice between Devontae Adams and Chase Brown, All right, Devontae's having a heck of a season. Probably will continue
I
to do
mean,
so.
he's leading the league in touchdowns. It's hard for me not to play Devontae Adams, who is the key target in the red zone, and the Rams
Yes,
offense is always there.
but maybe a Devontae Jr. type player who's had, let's say, 6 or 7 touchdowns, but not as many yards,
Yeah.
or do you go with the guy like Chase Brown who's gotten all these yards, consistent targets, consistent rushing yardage, just not as many touchdowns? He's kind of like the Trey McBride from last year or something, where he can be counted on for a high floor, and then, oh, by the way, if he gets a touchdown, you're just that much further ahead that week.
I mean, frankly, I'd probably be starting him over like Justin Jefferson, for example. The way
Yeah,
he's looked, Zay Flowers, if you have him in there, Emeka Egbuka, if you have him in there, Marvin Harrison, I would start him over all those guys. And those are playable wideouts, I think. Even
yep.
Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle, I'd probably start Chase Brown over
That's
those two. Again, in the flex spot, obviously, these are wideouts. But
yep.
he's pretty darn good. He's in most, depending on what you've got for running backs, like he maybe one of your top two anyway, and I wouldn't feel horrible if that was your situation out there. So that's kind of
If
where
you've
I'm at. I
held
got
on to him
pretty
all
high
year,
confidence level going with him.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you've
and he
held on
didn't
to
get
him,
chopped before now.
or if you've suffered through some other teams getting chopped and finally picked him up, I think you did good, right? This is his time to shine,
Yeah,
and he's finally showing up like we thought he would all year. So I
yep.
have
And then you get
really
Joe
high
Burrow
confidence in
back.
him, right?
Yeah. So let's go to the flip side of confidence. Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, again, along with Lamar Jackson, that entire Baltimore offense has just been kind of a fizzle fest. And Zay
Yeah,
Flowers, he is one that is normally pretty consistent. He's, I mean, kind of like Chase Brown, honestly. That's probably actually a pretty good wide receiver comp to him. He doesn't get in the end zone very much either, but he usually has a pretty high floor. He's not blowing up for these 20-point games, but he's getting you over 10 normally every single week. But Zay Flowers had a bad week, and I don't know if it's enough for me to get off the Zay Flowers train because he's been so consistent. I mean, you can just put in 12 to 14 for Zay Flowers every single week, and if he accidentally gets a touchdown, which he's only had one, oh my God, that's unbelievable. Week one's his only
first week.
touchdown. This is
Yeah,
like the major league. One goddamn hit, one goddamn touchdown.
that's all we
Zay
had.
Flowers, week one, had 143 and a touchdown. But even with that, he's only been single digits until this last week, twice. And last week, 2 for 6. That's an anomaly. Every other week, 11, 11, 12, 11, 14, 12, 14. I mean, his fantasy points are pretty consistent, double
Yep.
digits. And usually not the one that's going to get you chopped. So you could do worse than Zay Flowers, and especially with the schedule coming up. Pittsburgh is soft. Cincinnati, soft. New England, I mean, they got some good guys out there, but he beats good corners every single week. So what do you think about Zay Flowers?
I had him on my team this year, and after week one, I thought I'd, you know, struck gold.
Snuck one
But
out.
yeah, but I don't know, he's heavily reliant on
He's not
his
sexy.
quarterback, right? Yeah,
Yep.
he's just
That's
kind
the
of does
problem.
what he does
Quarterback does
every
not
week,
play
and
well.
he's never going to have the Chase Brown type, or sorry, the Jamar Chase type games. Uh,
Yeah.
but he'll, like you said, he'll be good for 10 to 15 points about every week. So you could do
Yeah.
worse. I don't think he's going to win your fantasy team, like fantasy league.
Nope.
So he's probably
He
not in
won't
my
lose it
in
usually.
gamer list, but if
Yeah.
he's gotten you here till now, he's okay to play another week or two.
That's right. All right. Let's cover a couple more games, and then we'll get to kind of our in-game list and some other fun stuff. Chicago, Philly. So Chicago wins 24-15 at Philly behind Swift and Monangai, 125 and 130 yards respectively rushing. They just ran all over Philly. I was actually really surprised. I thought this would be a tough game. This is kind of a statement game to me.
Oh
Chicago,
yeah.
are they real for you yet, Brew? Are they real? Do we believe in them
Um,
finally?
I think I do. I almost hate to say that, but I'm a big fan of Ben Johnson. I mean,
Yeah,
clearly one
same.
of the big reasons they're winning.
Hell of a
He's
coach.
revamped the offense. They figured out what was working against Philly, and they just stuck to it and stuck to it and stuck to it, and then stuck to it some more,
It is.
and just pounded the ball
Just
down
pounded
Philly's
on them.
throats. And both those guys had really, really great days for any one back, but both of them in the same game, like we were talking about in the Patreon.
Yep.
First time since 1985 that Chicago had two guys rush for over 100 yards in the same game.
Yeah.
So,
It kind of had to be. So when we look at Caleb Williams, he didn't play that well. And parts of the game that I was watching, 17 for 36 for 154 yards. So less than 50% completion rate. I mean, Philly's defense
yep.
was playing tough on him, but it's like they went all in on that and then just couldn't stop the run right up the goose. But Monangai and Swift, 40 carries for 255 yards. I mean, they averaged
6 yards a tote.
6.5 yards a pops. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. And then you look at the receivers. Nobody came through for Chicago. We talked about last week and the last few weeks. There's no one to really count on the Chicago offense. It's so balanced. You don't know who it's going to be each week. And at the beginning of the year, it was Odunze. There was one guy. Now there's none. And that's still the case for me. You're still not going to feel great, Monangai or Swift, because both of them have laid absolute duds often. And you don't know who's going to get it any individual week. So while we like the Bears as a team, just in real life as being a strong team, they're not a strong fantasy team or Geo team. I don't know if there's one freaking guy on Chicago you'd start. Is there anyone on Chicago's entire offense you would start and feel comfortable about?
No, I mean, depending on the
injury replacement.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I thought Caleb Williams had a chance to be a good contributor. He's a little too inconsistent for me right now, but he does use his legs from time to time and gets into the end zone. And Ben Johnson has him, catching passes and all that kind of stuff too. So he can score some fantasy points, but all the other guys, they spread it around so much. It's a bit like the Chiefs or the Lions or other high scoring teams. They spread it around to keep other teams off balance. Right. And this week it's going to be Colston Loveland, and next week it might be Odunze. That hasn't been the case for a while, but this week it happened to be
DJ
the
Moore
running
last
backs.
week with 2 touchdowns. Yeah.
Yep. Cole
Absolutely.
Kmet mixes in a couple catches, in key situations. So they've got lots of guys that can contribute, and they're just perfectly satisfied to spread the ball around and keep other teams guessing.
Yeah, it's a very unselfish approach to playing football. Whatever's working that day, that's who gets the ball that day. And it's kind of refreshing. So we've seen it from the Chiefs for a long time because we haven't had a wideout since Tyreek Hill, really. Rashee Rice is the closest we've had, and it's super fun, other than Kelsey, who's been very consistent. Anyway, for Philly on the flip side, Jalen Hurts, not a bad game. 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 31 yards on the ground. So, again, a very decent game for fantasy purposes. And A.J. Brown, who's been on our center list more times than I can count, he's been involved the last few weeks. We got to give credit where that's due as well. So, A.J. Brown, 10 catches on 12 targets, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he found his way in the end zone twice. But he's kind of it. That was it for Philly's offense. And Saquon Barkley, only 56 yards, 0 catches for Saquon Barkley, which I don't know how you have that big of a talent in your backfield and you never want to check down to Saquon ever, not once. I don't know if I get that. And I mean, I guess I'm not calling the plays either, so what do I know? But I mean, he had 2 targets, I guess, but just dumps that didn't go anywhere. From the Philly side, who do you feel confident, if anyone, starting on your Geo team with your head on the line these last 3 weeks?
It's almost the opposite of Chicago, right? It's like, okay, this week we're only going to look at A.J. Brown, and next week we're only going to look at Devontae Smith. And Dallas Goedert had the ball the first 3 games, right? So
he did.
It's a super weird approach. I don't know what to believe.
Which makes
or
it
what
hard to trust from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't take 4 points all year from AJ Brown and then start him, right? So a lot of teams that had him may not have even started him and gotten credit for those 2 touchdowns and 10 catches, which is sad,
Yeah,
but that's what happens when you're so inconsistent all year, right? It's really hard to trust those guys. So
absolutely.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Philly,
I mean,
they
Saquon's kind of burned.
look very beatable.
Yeah, I don't know who you trust from a fantasy perspective. Hurts is still going to be Hurts and get you decent points for a quarterback, but I don't know who else I would consistently start from here on out.
Yeah, same. I mean, AJ Brown's kind of turned it on the last few weeks, and if there is one, I mean, God, he might be as close as you get. And I'm going off. I mean, the last 3 games, he's had just targets alone. And before that, we were making fun of he couldn't even get to double-digit targets as the number one wideout and one of the best wideouts in football. The last 3 games, he had 11 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets, resulting in 7, 8, and 10 catches. And he's gone over 100 back-to-back weeks. He's got a touchdown back-to-back weeks. So his last 2 games, he's had 18 catches for 242 and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty good. But it's also against Dallas's defense before they really got all their peeps back. And then, well, I guess they had their back last week. That was the show. Is just we're going to AJ Brown that week. And then going down the stretch, they'll have the Chargers, Vegas, Washington. In Vegas and Washington, those are pretty nice, soft matchups. So AJ Brown would
Yep.
probably be the Eagle to look at. I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing and they're just mono focused on one person, AJ Brown seems to have the eye of Sauron on him from the offensive coordinator, which is not the worst thing. It didn't result in a win this week because they couldn't stop the run. It's more on the defense than the offense this week. But that's kind of where we're at. So Philly, they are struggle bussing. Chicago, though, maybe they just are really good. We'll see what's up. Go to the next game, and we'll go quick through these. The Jets, they won 27-24 over Atlanta. Atlanta looks like they've just mailed it in. Bijan's awesome, and that's about it. The Jets, they won, but they kind of lost the war, man. I don't know why you'd want to screw your draft pick. But, hey, they're all competitive. They play to win. They signed up for the full 60, and they got a walk-off field goal after what looked like Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons were going to take this game. The Jets came back. Tyrod Taylor, he's just a little engine that could. He just keeps on playing well as a backup. Justin Fields celebrating on the sideline. But, man, that fourth quarter had 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and a 56-yarder to win it for Nick Folk. Good for him. Good for the Jets. There's no one you really want to start other than Bijan, maybe Breece Hall, and Drake London is clearly one of the really elite talents in the league. But I don't know. Is there anything you want to take from this game, Prue? I mean, Bijan had 142 yards. He was a beast. And 5 more catches for 50. So he was damn near 200 yards. That's just what Bijan does. I mean, he can beat the crap out of really bad teams, and they should. But we'll see what's up.
You hit on all the right guys. Those are the right guys to target for your fantasy team.
Rams lost a tough game to Carolina, 31-28 in Charlotte. This game was really fun to watch, and we saw what we haven't seen all season. Matt Stafford turning the ball over. They jinxed him on TV. I mean, he broke the record for most touchdowns before an interception or between interceptions. And I think it was, 27?
28.
A ton.
28.
He passed Brady. And then the next time he gets tipped in the end zone and picked. Then he threw another pick, and then he fumbled to end the game. That was just tough. And Bryce Young, good for you. And Chuba Hubbard, welcome back to the league for at least 1 week. So he outperformed Rico Dowdle. He has some good catches, good runs. And it's not anyone you're going to start. But last year, he's kind of a league winner. I had Chuba Hubbard last year on my championship team, and it was awesome. Him and Bucky took me all the way to the title. But this year, not so much. Chuba Hubbard is a shell of himself, but it was good seeing him have one good performance. And speaking about wideouts, Devontae Adams, we talked about him earlier. He just keeps getting two a game. I've never seen
Yeah.
like a guy be so open so quickly every time. Devontae Adams is incredible this year, leading the league in touchdowns. What do you like about this Rams team? Let's start there with them, Prue.
Well, so I think they talked about it during the game, maybe, that the all-time potentially, if things continue as they are right now, the three greatest receiving seasons have all been by Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
I was like Calvin
Yes.
Johnson and Puka Nakua and
Yeah.
whoever the
And
third
Cooper
one was,
Cup.
and Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Yep,
Cooper Cup's MVP year.
yep. So all three of
Yeah.
those guys
And
just under
he just knows
2,000 yards
how.
receiving, and all by Matthew Stafford. So the guy knows how to play ball. Um, Devontae
Yeah.
Adams is just a ridiculous route runner, and he creates so much separation in the red zone. He's a big target, so it's not surprising they keep feeding it to him. But it's kind of amazing that nobody can stop it. Nobody's figured that out yet, and he just keeps scoring
Yeah.
at will.
You're not going to double him, though, but you're going to leave Puka Nakua single coverage. I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
that's not a good recipe either. So it's nice having that situation. They're both highly startable. Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams, arguably both end gamers. I mean, there's room to
Yeah,
differ on that, but with 14 touchdowns from Devontae Adams this season, leading the league, how do you not have him on a list? And yeah, he doesn't have the yards or the catches that Nakua and Amon-Ra, CD, Jamar Chase. But when you see 99 targets, 52 catches, and 14 touchdowns, man, you could do worse. He's way behind yards, though. So like Jackson Smith and Jigba, obviously, is someone that you feel comfortable with. But when we look, he has scored in 6 straight games, and he's had multiple touchdowns in 4 of those
yeah,
games. So
yep.
3-2-1-1-2-2. Devontae Adams. You should feel very comfortable starting Devontae Adams. No issue there at all. Matt Stafford also, I mean, this was his worst game. It's 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then the 2 picks and a fumble. Got it. I'm not really worried about him at all. I think he's still a front runner
No,
for MVP. Yeah, I think he'll be in the top 3 in voting, as long as he just does normal play this last month. But this is arguably the best team in football, this Rams team, on both sides of the ball, defense, offense. They're a tough out. That's why good for Carolina. But it took 3 turnovers to get this game, and then the fumble at the end when they're driving. That's
yeah.
how you beat the Rams. So you had to get a little bit of luck on your side.
It's Yeah, the
But
Carolina defense stepped up. I mean, that first pick was a
it
little
did.
unlucky from Stafford, right? Tipped pass. And of course, if you tip it near the end zone, it's so compact down there that somebody's going to pick it off. And they did. The second pick
Yeah,
was really bad. That was a big time Stafford
it
mistake.
was.
And then the fumble, I mean, yes, it was his fault that he fumbled, but his offensive line got beat. He was
He
trying to
got hit
roll
from the
out,
backs. Good defense.
right?
That's right.
Yep. Trying to make something happen
Yeah,
late in the
I don't
game.
fault
So
that too much.
I was super impressed. I've been impressed with Stafford all year. This game, I was impressed with Bryce Young. I hate to even say that out loud, but
Yeah.
he had 2 fourth down
Well, he
conversions
earned it.
where, yeah, it wasn't a 3-yard slant pass for a first down, right? On 4th and 3,
It was deep.
he hit he hit like a 33-yarder to McMillan, I think, or Coker,
Yeah,
another
Tedero
20-yarder
McMillan, his
maybe.
only catch of the game was the
Yeah.
go-ahead touchdown.
And earlier it
Yep.
was Coker, I think, on 4th and 6 or something,
Yep.
20-yard play.
Yeah, Jalen
So
Coker on a cross over the middle.
he had several nice throws down the field, which he was really not doing last year. Um, he was kind of infamous for only throwing, I think, 6 yards a throw or something like that. I can't remember. It was super low.
Yeah.
And this year, it's good to see him throwing the ball down the field, a little more confidence. They also made a big deal about having the tallest wide receiving core, 6'4", 6'3",
It
6'3", I
helps.
think. So that's
Yeah. Bryce Young's like
looks
5'8".
Yeah,
He's like, you
they've
guys
set
are
themselves
huge.
up
It's
well
fun.
for some future success with the tall wide receiving core and then a combination of Dowdle and Chuba in the backfield. So
Yeah,
I like where they're headed.
same. I think if you're a Carolina fan, I mean, they're trending the right way. So Carolina, and
Yep,
they're in the hunt too. I mean, they are right there. So they are going to be relevant as we go into last month, which is not something you get to say too often for the Carolina Panthers.
that's
All right.
right.
Speaking of irrelevant, the New Orleans Saints, and they're just kind of vying for that first overall pick next year. They dropped a actually closer game than you thought. So Miami 21-17. Miami just kind of quit though, and the Saints just kept playing. They're like, "Hey, I thought we were going to play the whole game. I'm not ready to get on the bus yet." But Devon Achane, again, God, this guy's good. And it's not anything we didn't know, but Devon Achane, I think, has taken his game to the next level. Pruitt, I mean, god dang, man, he may be like a top 3 running back in the league right now. And from fantasy confidence level, he's kind of like what Kamara was back in his peak. What do
Yeah.
you like about Devon Achane as we go forward in guillotine and just for standard fantasy league playoffs?
So anytime I'm looking back at the stats, anytime you can rush for more than 6 yards a carry, you're going to have a good day. Surprisingly, he didn't have
Yeah,
any catches in that game, and that's
I know that
usually
was
why
weird.
he's got such a high floor, right? Is that he does have
Yep.
normally 5, 6 catches a game. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a bit surprising, but yeah, when you're running the ball that well, um, no need to
He didn't
throw
need
the
the
ball,
catches
I
this time.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's actually the only
he's
game this season he doesn't have a catch.
right. I believe
Yeah,
that. It's
it's
probably the only game in the last 2 seasons that he doesn't have a catch.
yeah, and he has
But
one
yeah,
game where he had one catch. His lowest past that is 3. Like 3 receptions per game is minimum. So
yep.
that's kind of where he gets his value. But yeah, you look at his fantasy
He's
stats, that
he's
floor
easily
is
a top
high.
three. Yeah, he's easily a top three back.
Yep, I
Would
think
love to
so
have him on
too.
my team.
If he played in a bigger market on a better team, that's all you'd hear about. So he has 1,000 yards rushing already with a month to go. He has 54 catches for 370. So he has 1,400 yards right now. Devon Achane, 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 54 catches. That's elite. So Devon Achane, you don't hear about you because Miami sucks, but
On a
if
team
you
that's
have him on
five
your
and
team,
seven.
you know how good
Yeah.
he is.
Yep.
Yep, so it's incredible. No one really to speak up. I mean, Jalen Waddle's fine if you got him, but he's not consistent. On New Orleans side, nobody, not one player. All right, Arizona, Tampa Bay. Tampa holds off 20-17. Another good game by McBride. Um, Again, Arizona, another close loss. They seem to just master losing by 3 points or less, and yet another one. So, despite not being a very good team, the point spread versus them, I feel like they might actually have more points than their opponents because when they do win, they win by quite a bit. But whatever. So Tampa Bay hangs on. Baker plays with his man. I don't know how he played because he looked hurt when he left last week, but it was his left shoulder, not his right. He played through it though, not bad. Jacoby Brissett, another 300-yard game on the other side, and again Trey McBride, really the only bright spot, 8 for 82 with a touchdown. Marvin Harrison was just fine, 6 for 69, getting back. Michael Wilson, who had been just blowing it up with 25 catches the last 2 weeks, came back to earth when you had Marvin come back, 3 for 36. So a whole bunch of
Yep.
nothing burgers. On the other side, and here's who I'm excited to talk about, because I think this guy could win your league. I think he could take your championships home. Bucky Irving is back, and even coming back a little bit slower, they didn't really hold back. I mean, he didn't start the first series, but he finished with 17 rushes for 61. And in the backfield, he had 2 for 20, and he got his touchdown. And he frankly got in another time. He got pulled back on a penalty. So he really got in a couple times. Bucky Irving could win your league. I love this team. I love this matchup. I love this player on this team going down the stretch. What do you think about Bucky Irving? Am I just a fanboy, or do you believe in him as being just a guy who can win leagues?
No, I think he's in in a similar category as Chase Brown, where he's kind of been forgotten about in a lot of ways. Chase Brown just because he's been on a terrible team all year until they've gotten Burrow back, but
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irving's been hurt. He's finally coming back, and he's been an elite back when he's been on the field. So Tampa Bay's got a relatively easy schedule these last few weeks
It
of the
is.
season.
It's
Looking
soft. So
look,
Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins is who you take your final
yes,
4 games with.
Panthers twice.
None of those scare me. Yeah. So
Well,
I
yeah,
think that's going to
Panthers in
be
week
a
18,
pretty
but
darn yeah. So Bucky Irving,
yeah.
I think
So
he can bring you some fantasy gold this year if you are fortunate enough to get him late or pick him up late on waivers, or maybe just had him in the IR spot if you're in a standard league. But for Guillotine, if you had him on your league, I think he immediately jumps up. For me, he's an end gamer. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
yep,
Mecca Ibuka on the flip side, Chris Godwin has been kind of taking more targets than we thought, and maybe he's just feeling healthier. But Ibuka's still fine, but he's not looking like he was at the beginning of the year. I think having everybody on board, having Evans and Godwin, he was super good as a third, torching the dime back and safeties, but he doesn't seem to be getting that separation. He's not getting it in the end zone. Frankly, he just hasn't been that awesome last few weeks. Where are you at with Emeka Egbuka? I still think he might win Rookie of the Year. Don't get me wrong. I think he's doing just fine for a rookie, but he's not that elite wideout. He's not a Chase, Lamb, Nakua, Rice, St. Brown. He's just not that guy for Tampa Bay. Where are you at on Emeka?
uh, yeah. He just been kind of average, like you said. He started out really hot, and then he's just kind of plateaued out, and I don't know, not having the same success the last few weeks. So I'm not sure
No,
what
he's
it is
been
necessarily,
9
but
points, 9, 6, and 8 his last 3 weeks, and that is a recipe for chop if you're a Guillotine. Again, the matchups are going to be fine going down the stretch. New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. I just don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to start leaning more on Bucky. And, I mean, we don't have to worry about Evans coming back, but Chris Godwin, man, 78 yards. He only had the 3 catches, but 5 targets. It's just those targets were going to Mecca before, and now they're kind of getting
yeah,
spread evenly. But all in all, I still think it's going to be pretty good. I'm not – if you got a Mecca in your flex spot, one of those 2 flex spots for most leagues, I feel pretty good about that. But if he's one of your top 2, you might want to try and upgrade in this last final week.
yep.
Okay. Any other notes from those teams, Prue?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. San Fran, Cleveland, CMC's a beast. Kittle's coming back. Cleveland has nobody. Even Judkins is not someone to count on. San Francisco won 26-8. Not really even that entertaining. We hit our under with it because it's exactly what I thought it'd be. Not much Cleveland and San Fran scoring, but not a
Enough.
ton because of the
Yeah,
conditions. And Cleveland's defense is really good. So
that's right.
that one kind of played out how we kind of thought it would be. Houston and the Colts. So Houston beat a very good Colts team, and the Colts now dropped a few. So Houston
Yeah,
20-16 winners. And Houston, wow, Houston, how are you doing? Like, they are coming back. And at this moment, Houston is sitting, ironically, third in their division. They're Jacksonville and the Colts are both 1 game ahead at 8-4, and Houston is 7-5. But I think they have a pretty good shot because, I mean, the problem is they have to go to Kansas City, and that's going to be a tough one. And we've talked about Kansas City's beatable this year. It's not the kind of a free L you used to be able to throw up on the board. And frankly, they could beat Kansas City. That defense travels, and we've seen they're tough to move against. But then
yeah,
they get some cake. They get to beat on the Cardinals, which they'll probably win by 3 points or less because Arizona just doesn't get blown out. Then you get to go pound on the Raiders. The Chargers don't look that scary. And then you get a chance to kind of control your own destiny with the Colts at the end of the road. I think that's probably going to be the game for the title unless Jacksonville just goes on a miraculous run this month. But I think that game could decide this division. So Houston's rallied back. What do you think about Houston and what they're doing? And do any of their fantasy guys stand out to you?
Nico Collins is still relevant, right? He's still going to get plenty of targets each
Yep.
week. Woody Marks has been a little bit up and down. Very talented guy, but kind of hit or miss for fantasy purposes. So I really,
Yes.
for me, I'm only trusting Nico right now. And I'm trusting in the Houston defense. If I'm the GM of that franchise, I'm looking at the defense, expecting them to win me some games. And just
that's what they're playing on. It looks at.
Yep, having C.J. Stroud not lose, and having the defense go out there and keep games winnable for their offense.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the recipe. For the Colts on the flip side, Jonathan Taylor, another pretty decent game, but just no touchdowns. So when he doesn't get his 3, he seems to get 0. So 21 for 85, but 85 tough yards. So he averaged over 4 yards a carry almost against a tough Houston D. I don't really trust any of the wide receivers. Tyler Warren's probably it as the tight end position.
Yep.
So he got in for you, but only 3 for 22. So he didn't get many yards or catches, but he got that touchdown. Also had the fumble loss. That one really hurt. But moving forward, I think it's Jonathan Taylor on that Colts team is the only Colt you want to start in your guillotine leagues going down the playoff stretch. Next game, Seattle just trounced Minnesota in their 4th-string quarterback. It's so surprising the result looked like that. Justin Jefferson's furious, can't stand it. Aaron Jones went out with a shoulder. Seattle, oh my God, it's just whatever. Next game, Seattle looks like a playoff team, and Minnesota does not look like they were playing for the 1 seed last season. It's amazing what one position can do, isn't it, Pruitt? One position can change an entire playoff team from a 1 seed to a not even going to go to the playoffs.
Not even relevant. Yep.
Not even freaking relevant. All right. Buffalo wins 26-7 over Pittsburgh in a game that turned into a snoozer. Again, not a lot of offense on either side. Aaron Rodgers playing with a big brace, but I don't know. Buffalo just, even when they're winning, they don't look that good. Josh Allen, 123 yards. What? That's nothing. And he ran for 38. What? He got his rushing touchdown, got a passing touchdown, so he keeps filling that dual touchdown stat. But man, not that many points really. James Cook, a beast. So speaking of one of our top end gamers, James Cook, 144 yards. Then he had 3 for 33 on the ground. He's awesome. Nobody else on this Buffalo team would I touch. And I don't even think there's nobody on Pittsburgh, period. Do you agree with that, Prue, or am I being mean to him?
Nope. Time to hang him up from fantasy perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if old Pittsburgh, they'll probably finish 9-8. What am I kidding? But that's looks like that's exactly what they are, 9-8, because they do not look that good. For Vegas and Chargers, just snooze fest. The only thing is if you have Brock Bowers, he's obviously one of our top 2 tight ends for end gamers. 2 touchdowns. Can't do wrong with that. Ashton Genty, though, keeps proving why you need a line to be consistent and good. And Ashton Genty does not have that. Geno Smith is not consistent. The Chargers, with a whole bunch of nothing, still just drubbed them 31-14. And they don't scare me either. So the Chargers, there's no one I really want to start. Kamani Vidal, I guess for now, but Marion Hampton allegedly will come back in the next couple weeks. In which case, Vidal is worthless for a guillotine team. Like, you better have somebody else. And I don't know if they'd actually put Hampton back in at the number 1 spot, but he's going to cut into carries. Would you be nervous if you're a Kamani Vidal owner? I would.
Yes. 100% yes. I don't think you can count on him.
Yeah.
As soon as Hampton's back, I think Vidal's going to take a back seat and split carries, if not get more than 50% cut from him.
Lad McConkey, probably the only wideout of note. Keenan Allen's kind of faded into the background. Quentin Johnston, who started off hot, he was getting off to a big early lead in the quarter-mile race, and then realize it's a mile race. He is now has been lapped by everybody. Quentin Johnson is an afterthought, so no one really mentioned there. And again, I'm not starting any Chargers in any of my teams except for Ladd McConkey. He's it. Denver, Washington, heck of a game. God, that was so fun to watch. And I mean, I don't hate Denver, but I don't like them. And the Donkeys pull off another win, even though they probably should have lost. Washington played well enough to win that game, but credit where it's due. Denver wins again. They make the one play they need to make because, man, if he doesn't knock that ball down on the 2-point conversion, McNichols was wide open. He had like 10 yards till the next defender, and Mariota just trying to get it to him quick. Got batted down. Benito knocked it down. Good for him. Benito, again, one of the players in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, which is right after they had Patrick Surtain win Player of the Year last year. I mean, Denver, that defense is championship caliber D, but the offense just isn't. Bo Nix isn't. Cortland Sutton's really good still, but he's only going to be as good as the quarterback. R.J. Harvey has shown he's not J.K. Dobbins. He's talented, and he's going to make some plays, but you can't count on him for fantasy, and I don't know if you can count on him in real life either. In Washington, there's nobody you can really count on except for McLaurin. So if he's healthy and playing, doesn't matter the quarterbacks. Scary Terry's legit. That dude shows up. Is there any guys you want to talk about from either of those two teams, Prue, for fantasy perspective or just game?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Sutton is too hard to trust right now with Denver's kind of inconsistent offense. Lauren is, I don't know if he's an in-game receiver, but he's very close. He's maybe honorable mention as a okay to start if you have to type thing. But yeah,
he's just been hurt so much,
right? And he could go out at any time, so it's a little bit risky to start him maybe, but he is a very talented guy. Other than those two guys,
I mean, he finally comes back.
I don't really trust anybody else to get me points consistently.
Not at all. So McLaurin comes back after a few weeks, 7 for 96 and a touchdown. Zach Ertz has another nice game, 10 for 106. So very nice production from there. I do want to ask you this question, Prue. So Jaden Daniels potentially could be back next week. He is on waivers in a ton of leagues, and maybe some teams have him locked up, but on these short teams, especially for Guillotine, like in a standard league, he's held for sure, but in a Guillotine league, he may just be hanging out there. I'm pretty sure he's hanging out in our league. Is he someone you would actually just pick up just to see and potentially play matchups down the stretch, see what it looks like? Again, this is a guy that was a top 3 fantasy quarterback last year.
Yeah, I was getting ready to look and see what their schedule is the last few games, because we've talked about their opponents. I mean, they play Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, and Giants. So kind of 2 soft matchups and 2 tougher matchups down the stretch.
I mean, the Giants, I don't know. I mean, maybe just the Giants now. The Eagles, they got a good one. They locked down passing quarterbacks pretty well, and Dallas has played well lately. And they got I don't know. It's an interesting thought. So Jaden Daniels, if he's in your league, it depends on who you have as your quarterback right now, but especially if he starts running. I don't know if they'll let him run much, though.
Ending your season with 3 division opponents is never super good for stats. I feel like those are always tight games with like lots of defense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know. I mean, if nothing else, it wouldn't be a bad idea to stash him so that nobody else could have him, and you get beat by a guy that has been hurt all year and suddenly scores 35 points against you or something. But it's a pretty risky start, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's gonna be tough to put him on a team in Gio because you only have like 6 bench spots, and especially this week, you got the last 4 bye teams that we need to probably hit on that real quick too. But last game real quick. So Giants, New England. New England kind of beats down the Giants 33-15. Wasn't really that competitive. It got to a point where it was a 2-score game, and then another field goal, and that was kind of it. But New England, there's only one fantasy player of note, really. I mean, it's Drake May. He's leading the league in passing. He's
Yeah.
just really good. He hasn't apparently still hasn't had a 300-yard game all season. He's still leading the league in yards. That's pretty impressive. So we'll see if the bye week catches up and people pass him. But going into this week, he was still leading the league. The Trevion Henderson, I think we saw again. You can't really count on him because with Rafumble Stevenson in there, Trevion Henderson just is not going to get the carries. He won't get that featured back role, and they can't give up Ramondre.
Yeah.
I like Trevion Henderson's talent. I like him as a player. I think he's going to be really good. But I also saw once he gave up that sack and got blown up on a block, Rafumble came right back in and took the whole next series. I don't know. It's hard for me to trust Trevion. Are there any other Patriots players other than maybe Hunter Henry? I mean, Drake May, obviously, but anyone else other than Drake that you would be starting at all in fantasy playoffs going down the stretch?
Way back toward the beginning of the season, I liked Hunter Henry as a kind of sleeper pick for a tight end, but so I think he's maybe a serviceable tight end down the stretch here. You could probably do better, but he's maybe top 10 for sure. So depending on a matchup, he might be a worthwhile start. Aside from that, yeah, I don't think anybody else has been consistent enough to justify a starting spot on your fantasy roster. I was looking at the game last night, and
nobody.
Every one of the Patriots receivers was being faded toward the under on receptions.
Yeah.
Like nobody was going to get targeted. That's what they were saying. And then they ended up kind of blowing out the Giants. But anyway,
yeah,
Vegas doesn't trust Patriots receivers either.
Yeah,
so
me either. Then if Vegas doesn't trust him, I don't trust him.
Right.
All right. So as we go into this week, some of the players we're talking about. So that Carolina, New England, Giants, San Fran are on bye. The biggest loss is probably CMC and Drake May to your lineups. I don't think there's really any other crippling losses out of those particular teams. Rico Dowdle, maybe, but if you're really counting on him that much, your team might be a little shallow right this second. And Teteroa McMillan, he's a nice piece in real life, but fantasy perspective, he shouldn't be starting for your teams. So those are the last buys of the season. You have to play around him. The big one that's going to hurt, CMC. He's going to kill some teams. He's going to be on the most chopped list next week. But the problem is you won't be able to get him. So CMC will be forever in the bone pile if you're in a traditional guillotine league that stops pickups after week 14. But that being said, is what it is. I want to talk about real quick. We've talked about a few weeks ago and then about 4 weeks prior to that. Our in-game players, who do we feel the most confident with going down the stretch? I'm just going to rip off my 4 quarterbacks, see if you agree, disagree, and who you'd sub in. And then we'll kind of do 8 wideouts, 8 running backs, and 4 tight ends. You ready, Prue?
Okay. Yep. Speed round.
All right. So my quarterbacks, the one I have the most confidence in, and what sucks is he's out this week, but Drake May. If you can get through this week, I love Drake May. That consistency with the passing. He hasn't had like a game below 250 and a couple touchdowns for weeks. So I love Drake May. Joe Burrow going down the stretch gets Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, and Arizona. I like that. And he already showed last week. He comes right back in after missing weeks and weeks and gets 260 and 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes. So Houston, Chargers, Tennessee. That's your next 3 weeks, and they all must-win games. And you know they're going to put it on Patty's shoulders. So I like Patrick Mahomes. And then I am actually Matt Stafford, and I know I'm throwing up some controversy here, but Arizona, Detroit, Seattle the next 3 weeks, but you've got the guy vying for MVP for a reason. They pass against anybody. They are matchup proof with Puka and with Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams, and that line and that defense keeping them in games, matchup proof. It's like, Jax, you picked a bunch of dudes that don't run. I know, but Lamar Jackson isn't running. Josh Allen isn't running. So the ones that we traditionally would, they aren't running. And Drake May runs more than probably all of them. And Pat Mahomes scrambles just as much as those guys are running. So really, those are my top 4 going in. And I know I've left off some traditional top ones. Who would you move out if you want to bump one of those other guys in, Pruitt? Who would you bump out of my top 4?
So
May, Burrow, Mahomes, and Stafford.
I'll add a 5th guy, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And then
Dak, okay.
But still not the traditional ones like you're talking about, right? That still leaves out Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson, who have been the top 3 on everybody's radar probably all year, right? It's
for 2 to 3
kind of amazing
years.
where we are, but yeah, for sure. I can't really disagree with you though. Like I had Mahomes, May, Prescott. I wasn't thinking about Burrow. I probably should have been. He probably is a high floor guy. They're going to throw and throw and throw and throw
a ton
as long as he's healthy.
And he throws to Chase Brown too, so even his running back is passing.
Yep, and especially if they get T. Higgins back, they'll have enough threats that Burrow will be relevant. So I can't really fault you for putting him in there. I would say Josh Allen is probably very close to making that list, but yeah, for me, Stafford is just lighting it up, and he's got such a talent pool around him that he's worth it to be in those.
And he's
in the
not
top
throwing
4.
up 133 yards passing in a week like Josh Allen.
Yeah,
like
right.
Yards matter and touchdowns matter. And if Josh Allen doesn't run one in or gets stopped at the 1, or James Cook takes his touchdowns, which should, I mean, it's kind of weird we're saying James Cook takes Josh Allen's touchdowns. I mean, that's it. It's the other way around, except when you look at
That's
Josh
the
Allen,
sad reality.
80 stupid rushing touchdowns. It is.
That's the only reason I've got
might be a little bit different
Josh Allen. That's the only reason I've got Josh Allen as high as I do, is that he's still going to take a few of those touchdowns probably that should traditionally go to running backs. But
yep.
But yeah,
and I can also
don't think
see
you can
this.
put him
I'm
in
going to
the
go on
top
the record.
4.
Yeah, I think he'd be the reason you get chopped in one of these last 4 weeks that would take you out of the championship run. I think one of those weeks he'll suck, and that'll be the reason you lose.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the other guys will have a high enough floor, they won't kill you. Now, Josh Allen could also win it for you. I got it. He could throw up 40 points like he's done a couple different times, but whatever, man. I think I need to make sure I've got that 20 points, and that's all these other guys will, I think, do that. All right, moving on. So running back, I've got Devon Achane, and these are no particular order. These are just the 8 dudes I'm most comfortable with. Devon Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, CMC, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, and Bucky Irving, baby. I'm throwing him in that 8th slot. And I'm leaving off the list Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, but barely, Javonte Williams, and Saquon Barkley. Those are like my 9, 10, 11, 12. Do you have any of those 4 dudes? You probably don't have Bucky in there, but I do. I think Bucky's going to win championships this year. You got any issue with any of those 8 guys that I have as my 8 gamers?
I do not. I had Saquon in there versus Bucky, but I could be convinced that Bucky's the right start just based on their schedule down the stretch.
Yeah, Bucky's first game is better than Saquon, and he's healthy.
Yep. He hasn't been running all year. So.
Exactly right. But
yeah,
I think honorable mentions, Kyron Williams, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going with.
Another notable that's not on the list is Derrick Henry. We've kind of talked about Ravens' struggles lately, so I think he doesn't need to be on that list necessarily. And he was probably a first-round pick for a lot of teams. So
he was.
Sorry, Derrick Henry owners.
He's been on the bone pile so many times this season as a most chopped player.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to happen one more time in the next 3 weeks? I do. So I would not trust Derrick Henry as far as I could throw him. Love him, Hall of Fame guy. I love watching him play, but this is just not his year and not Baltimore's year. All right, going to wide receiver. So again, we could have some controversy here, but I think Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, my number 1. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Pickens, and Drake London are my top 8. And boy, my 8.5 is Devontae Adams. Probably 8.8 is Nico Collins. They're right there. But then there's no one else. Justin Jefferson I love the kid, man. I'm a Vikings fan. I can't have Justin Jefferson on my list right now. Just no quarterback to throw him the ball. He's the best talent with no quarterback. He's not even in the top 10 for me. And that's sad to say. I hate saying it. It makes me feel ill even thinking it, not putting him down there. He should be a top 3 wide receiver, but not this year. So of those, anyone you don't like, you're like, wow, why'd you put him up there?
I don't think so. I got lost on your list halfway through, I think, but I think you said Lamb and Pickens.
Yep.
And then Puka
I
and
got
Devontae.
both of them in there.
Yep, Puka, Devontae,
Yeah,
JSN.
Devontae's right there. Yeah. Yep, then Chase,
I think
Rashee Rice, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, and Drake London. Those are all. I have all those guys on my list. Again, in no particular order, but yeah, I think it's a pretty cut and dry
I think the cream's
list.
rising to the top.
There's a huge cluster. There's like about 12 guys that are all like number 10 through 22, right? That have all scored about the same number of points on the year and whatever. So these guys are clearly a tier above all the rest. So no objections,
I think so
Dex.
too.
Good job.
All right. And last 4, and we could have some wiggle room here, but I think, again, top 2 is pretty easy. McBride and Bowers. And then I got Kelsey and Kittle. That's my top 4. I'm leaving out Ferguson and Warren, but I don't hate them. I think they're both pretty good still. I think you can have probably 6 on this list, even though your final 4 teams, you're not usually starting 2 tight ends. But I think going down the stretch, now that Kittle has Purdy back, I think he's just going to be more targeted. Again, he's had 6 catches, 3 games, or he had 9, 6, 6, and 4. But his lowest yardage game is 67. So Kittle's back, man. 84 and a touchdown, 67 and 2 touchdowns, 78, 67. He hasn't been below 10 points in a month. That's what you want from your tight ends. Anyone that you'd put in there instead of those 4 guys?
I have to remove Kittle just out of principle because he got me chopped.
Yeah. All right. And who are you putting in there instead?
I still like Ferguson. Teams are quickly figuring out that they can't cover CeeDee Lamb and Pickens and Ferguson, so I think he's going to continue to get targets. It'll be somewhat matchup dependent, but teams that have really good defensive fronts are going to have a tough time hanging with Ferguson on short routes and stuff. So I think he's still a viable option. Tyler Warren, like we said, was probably your only option as a receiver for Indy. I don't really trust the wideouts, but for tight ends,
I know
he's not terrible. Like you said, there's kind of 6 viable ones I think that I wouldn't mind starting.
True. All right, Peru. So that's our end gamers. I want you to take us through our last week of spuds and our gambling picks, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right. Well, we did not provide any new sleepers last week. You're on your own from here on out. We did do one final round of spuds, and we hit 1 of 3. So Javonte Williams got his touchdown, so he unfortunately got over our threshold of 13 points. He got up to 16.2, something like that. So he hit. Rico Dowdle, Dex picked versus the Rams. Rico only got you 9.9 points. So he was a spud last week against this very strong Rams defensive line. So he hit, and then Swift against Philadelphia. Chisholm is
Midas touch Chisholm.
Got his golden touch on anybody that he picks scoring a touchdown. DeAndre Swift had 20 points.
It's uncanny.
It's unreal.
11 of 13
often,
players scored a touchdown.
Yeah, 11 of his 13 spuds.
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
we
it's
would
crazy.
be
All
we'd
right,
be
so
up
1 of 3.
significantly. 1 of 3. That
Yeah, so
that
it's
believe it or
Chisholm hit
not,
one spud this
30,
entire season.
and it was the 1 week that we bet on an anytime touchdown.
I know. Butthead.
Craziness.
Jalen Waddle got us.
We did have
But
we
so
hit 33% of our spuds for the year, which is fairly good. That's what we were shooting for. We didn't exceed expectations, but we met expectations on our spud picks throughout the year. And if we went back and looked, I would say the vast majority of the ones we missed were, just a touchdown or something. It'd be interesting to see
yeah,
how many of we
for most
missed
of them.
by under 6 points, because I think that applies to
Under 3
the vast
points.
majority.
It's a bunch.
Yep.
All right, and how about our
So
gambling picks?
moving on to gambling picks. I was not good this last week. We had 6 total picks, with the Thanksgiving games being one round, and then the Sunday games being the other round. I took Kansas City at Dallas, and that clearly didn't happen. Dex
Went the other
took
way.
the under. It ended up being over, so we lost out on that one. Chisholm did hit on his under. Cincinnati and Baltimore were under 52 points, 52.5. So we hit that one on Thanksgiving Day, 1 of 3. And then on Sunday, we hit 2 of 3. Tennessee did not show up against Jacksonville like I thought they would. They kind of got blown out, actually. Or not kind of.
They got
They
smoked.
got really blown out. It was over early, unfortunately. But we did hit our 2 other unders. San Francisco and Cleveland, like we mentioned earlier, it was kind of a snooze fest if you're an offensive-minded fan. And then Buffalo-Pittsburgh was
Yep.
also under. So overall, we hit 3 of 6 over this last week. And we're still hanging at 55% on the year, which is outstanding. I have dropped to 7 of 14, and Dex and Chisholm have both hit 8 out of 14 picks. So I need to close the gap
Yep.
again and get caught back up this week.
Got a few weeks left.
Few weeks left.
All right, so who's starting with this week?
Chiz has not given us his pick yet for the week. We'll get that posted before Sunday, so check out our socials if you're interested in a third pick. But Dex and I'll go through ours real quick. I'll start us off with Miami and the Jets. Miami goes to New York this week. It's supposed to be 39 degrees or something like that. Relatively cold at game time on Sunday. And if you've watched the NFL for the last few years, you know that Tua is not great in the cold. Miami's actually favored in the game, which is another reason I don't like it. Jets as a home dog in the cold, give me the 3 points. I'm taking the Jets plus 3 at home. And I'm going to sprinkle in a dollar or two on the money line. That's right.
Oh, yeah, I like it. So Jets, they don't want a higher pick. They want to get into that mid-round. They will lower first-round pick. They don't like these high
7
picks.
pick.
That's it. All right, I'm going to go to one that, I don't know. I don't like it, but I generally do better on the ones I don't really like that much. I like it and I don't like it. So Chicago plus 6.5 at Green Bay. Over the past few years, we'll say 20, Green Bay has pounded Chicago. It's just kind of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers have just kind of made Chicago their biatch. And Jordan Love has kept that tradition going, even though there's starting to be some cracks. So I think Chicago plus 6.5 at Green Bay. This is a humongous game. It's really to help. It could decide the division. I mean, they're going to get a few more games left, obviously, this month. But this will be tiebreakers. Whoever wins this game will be in first place. And Chicago is just playing great football. They're playing great team football. Green Bay has a phenomenal defense, and they're really good at home. But frankly, they've lost a couple good games at home, and to include Cleveland. I mean, they've lost at Cleveland at home. So I think Green Bay is going to fail to close them out, even if they get the win. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it'll stay within a touchdown. Hopefully that 6.5 doesn't screw us into 7, but I like 6.5 Chicago at Green Bay this week for my pick. And then once we get Chisholm's, we'll post all 3 of those up on our socials. So check those out. And again, we'll have some Island Game socials for Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night as well. And for our props, we did hit one on Thanksgiving, so our Kansas City Dallas game we hit. And the other ones, again, as long as you're just kind of doing all the bets, we hit 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. And then last night we kind of threw a dud up there. We had Henderson. They squeaked over on the last run of the game. Drake May had I don't know why they kept him in. They just kept having him in and throwing the ball instead of running out the clock. Yeah. And Dart did not get in for the anytime touchdown. So we threw an 0 for up, but that's only, I believe, only the second one all season. We've been pretty darn good on these things. And overall, on our prop bets, we are hitting at a 54%, right around there. And our parlay hit rate of hitting all 3, we're still over 20%. So we're delivering pretty good. And yeah, we gave you one winner on Thanksgiving. So keep following those. They're a lot of fun. You can do them individually. You can pick the ones you want. But it's a lot of fun. So check those out. All right. Any closing thoughts for us, Prue?
That's the first 0 for 3 in 9 weeks. Believe it or not. We had one week 1 and week 3. And so, yeah, we've done pretty well with those all year. We're at 54% on our props and 55% on our game bets. So you should be following us, folks.
That's right.
We're doing as well as the pros on our picks.
Yep, it's almost like we watch a lot of football. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's right.
Without all the Vegas insider knowledge, we'd be even better. But heck, we're doing pretty good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Prue, for joining. Chiz, you can listen to this one on the flight back, and hopefully we do you proud. And again, he'll want this out there. So Chisholm did finally get a high score week in our Guillotine League. So he is looking good as we head down the stretch for his Final Four run in our Shrewdness Listener League. So good luck to Chiz this next month. And for everyone else out there that still has your heads, you're in the Final Four, congratulations. It's hard to do. You got to have some luck. You got to have some skill. You got to have some fab. Way to go. And hopefully we can get you to that final stretch. And hopefully you got a lot of our end gamers to get you there. So good luck this weekend. Have some fun. Enjoy the whole experience. It's just great. And for your teams, whoever those may be, good luck to them. Hope they make a playoff push. But for most important of everything, we need you all out there to stay shrewd.
Stay shrewd.